guys, my name is Noel, and I'm here to present a high street retail outlet named Anarchy. It is a high fashion punk retail store, and the name Anarchy comes from it's kind of a slang term for the word anarchy. If you say it in an English accent, I'm useless at doing it, so just think it. If you say it in a kind of a Cockney accent, it sounds like anarchy. The brief was for this punk store to design a store in Cork City on the corner of Patrick Street with a side bordering on Princess Street, and the brand is a high-end fashion brand, but because of it being punk, you need to have an alternative spin to the 5-star kind of exclusivity of it as well. So I began by looking at all things punk. Like punk style incorporates a lot of leathers, metal accessories, worn and distressed clothing, that sort of thing. The music, of course, is a huge part of it, and like there's iconic albums and bands like Sex Pistols. Anarchy in the UK is probably one of the bigger bands to come out of the punk era, and then there's iconic people like Vivienne Westwood, that's her down here, that would have created one of the first punk fashion brands in history, I suppose, and that still, I think she only passed away recently, so it's an iconic part of the punk scene. And then the other part of it is just what punk represents. It's kind of that underground part of the club, a bit of rough and ready, a bit trashy, a bit loud, a bit brash, so it's kind of combining all of those things. And I just did up a bit of a mood board just to kind of get the feel of what was required in the design, bringing in the kind of little bits of metal. I think that everyone in this kind of represents kind of what punk is all about, including the one on the chair. But it just kind of does give that kind of rebellious element to things, but also to try and incorporate a little bit of the exclusivity of it. So in looking at it, like Anarchy kept on coming up, the name of the brand was Anarchy, so it led me to using the A for Anarchy as the basis for my layout and the floor plan and the design. So when I went messing around with it a small bit, I did a few sketches and came up with the idea of having the A would be representing the shop floor area, and then the circle around it would create 2 seating areas where people would lounge around, enjoy a glass of Prosecco or whatever while they were trying on their clothes, so bringing in the exclusivity of it, and then the adjoining fitting rooms obviously would be their own to use without any disturbance and stuff. Again, it being a high-end retail space, there isn't a lot of stock required on the floor, because the idea is that the stock is already known by the customer when they're coming in, and that like even in them trying on that you don't need a lot of stock on display. So the floor space didn't need to be huge, but it was representative. The other part of it was that the A would obviously not be necessarily noticeable to the customer as they're coming in. So in order to kind of accentuate the shape that they were walking within, that there would be kind of a bespoke light piece of the A for Anarchy on the ceiling, kind of mapping out reflecting what was on the floor. So this is my traffic flow. Obviously in retail, traffic flow is a massive part of it, and although there wasn't a lot of stock, or isn't going to be a lot of stock on display, you still need to kind of highlight certain parts of it. So on the right, upon entering, there's what's called a power wall, which is kind of like a hard-hitting, really just an eye-catching area to bring the customer into the shop, to keep them there. That's followed by this digital display unit where it's interactive. They can like check out stock and possibly even incorporate some augmented reality in it that will show them what they would look like in certain outfits and stuff like that. The idea then is that the digital display will lead them to look across the shop, and that there's a hat and shoe display, which is a massive part of hats and shoes are a massive part of punk scene. So bring them across the shop, and then up along the left-hand wall where there would be new recent releases and stuff like that, so that you've got just the flow of the shop to bring them to the new releases. So this is a render of my floor plan. The flooring throughout is just it's a luxury vinyl tile, which is a little bit less hard underfoot for customers than tiling really is. And I was looking for that sort of an urban steel sort of look, so that it wouldn't be standing out and overbearing, so that the stock would just sit against it. And this urban charcoal, it's called, it just kind of emulates a steel floor, but without it actually being steel underfoot. The walls of the shop itself would be clad in chains. It's called chain curtains. It's called kind of architectural drapery, it's called. You'd see a picture of it in a while there, but just so that, and then this is my idea for the power wall. So I wanted to incorporate kind of the elegance of the gold frames against the kind of against the stock and against the kind of dinginess of the background, to kind of bring in a small bit of exclusivity. And I do think that the silver and the gold would actually work well together, despite what people think. And then the idea is to make your recent stock would be on display, creating a rack out of the gold frame, so that the clothes would hang on a rack at the end of it, but that it would draw the attention across the room to that. So this is just a 3D outline of the space. Again, your power wall, digital display, bringing across the room to the hats and shoes. Recent stock, and then the desk, which is a bespoke reception desk, and it's clad in leather, so it'd be kind of like just kind of giving it a little bit of a sumptuous leather desk, and that now the specification you want for that further on. So this is my exterior, and the idea was again to play on the music element of punk, and so I designed this, like the idea is that by creating this tape, you're creating like this massive corner unit that is really eye-catching, and the material it's made from is called a Danpal facade, so it's a malleable, they can make basically any shape out of it, but because it's translucent it can be backlit, so it'll be able to be, depending on the line of stock you've got in or any special events, you can change the look of the shop. And then the side wall is clad in a vinyl outdoor wallpaper, which will wrap around to the facade underneath the cassette tape. And the tape itself the base of the tape will create a canopy just for customers as they step in and out of the shop, so that they're not standing in and out of the weather essentially. This is an internal elevation of the seating area then. Again, just keeping with the punk thing that is it's trying to keep it luxurious with these really comfortable chairs, really like dimly lit, nice chill out area, but also keeping the punk element of it in there with the plaid. The wallpaper is actually called Plaidish, but it's a fabric-backed wallpaper, so it's kind of it adds a little bit of texture, and obviously like the mannequin lamp and the lighting and stuff like that, just adding to the punk side of it. So this is a 3D visual of the seating space. So there you see the chain curtain padding. It's on the curved part of the seating space as well. And then the large oversized mirror propped against the wall just kind of gives an element of grandeur, but when you look closely at it, the mirror itself is actually cracked, and like it's designed that way to look that way. And then the other part of this seating area is the LED lighting. It's rope lighting that's arranged in such a way that it emulates the Joy Division album Unknown Pleasures, but I suppose if you're in the know of your punk stuff, you'll know what it is about, so you'll appreciate it, and if you don't, it's kind of But it's like, I suppose it just adds a cool element to it, and it also breaks up the space so you don't feel like, because the walls of the shop are lower, in order for you to be able to see the lighting on the roof space, it just means that you're kind of bringing the room into one space by itself. So this is my ceiling view. It's just show the A for Anarchy light. It's a bespoke lighting piece. And again, it's just against the kind of industrial looking ceiling, just so that it kind of keeps it punk, you know, and that there's no need. So there is a space of about 1.8 meters between the top of the partition walls and stuff and the actual ceiling itself. The whole floor to ceiling is about 4 meters, and that means then that you've got a visual from all over the shop of this lighting fixture, which kind of gives it a little bit of an Instagrammable thing and stuff as well, you know. And then this is just for the window display. Again, just introducing the gold frame thing for customers, and it allows the window dressers to manipulate the mannequins a little bit around the frames and just introduce them so that upon entering and when you see your power wall inside, that it just keeps the flow of the gold frames going. This is my sample board, just outlining a few of the things. The mirror and the chair are both from the same company. It's a company called Boco de Lobo, and their stuff is incredibly expensive as well. But and then I have the piece of leather there. It's the leather that will clad the reception desk, and that is Pinatex. It's like a pineapple leather, and it's just quite a funky alternative to using leather, so it's worth checking out. And then this is my reception desk, just specification drawing. It's pretty self-explanatory, and the same with, that's the lighting specification. And that's my lot.